What's going on, everyone? In this video, I'm going to go and tell you why a lot of new Amazon FBA booksellers are really struggling, having a hard time making any profit selling books on Amazon. So I want to walk you through some of the reasons why I think that is and some of the fixes for that. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Joji. I'm a high school chemistry teacher, and I also sell books on Amazon. I'm here in this video to try to help you guys out, especially if you're new to selling books on Amazon. And this is a post that we see in a lot of the Facebook groups. This person says they're fairly new to the Amazon book flipping business. She was just going through analytics. She says she's made $860 in sales in the last few months, and her total balance is sitting at about $157. So that would be like the payout that Amazon's actually giving her. So it's like, a lot of newer sellers find themselves in the situation where, they sold $800 in books, and it's like, hey, there's only $150 in my account that this could be sent to me. Like, where did all that money go? If we continue on, she's basically asking, what does she have to do to make sure that at least 50% of what she sells actually turns into a profit? She also mentions that she knows that there are fees and things, but, clearly it looks like, she's on the newer side, completely fine. I was a new seller at one time. I started selling books back in 2016. It took me a while to figure it out. So like anything in life, if you're new to it, it's going to take some time to figure out what you're doing. It's going to take some time to learn some things. So with that said, let's dive into some of the reasons why I think, a lot of sellers aren't necessarily profitable or why they struggle in the beginning. So, and basically the way I see it is there's 5 reasons. So we'll start with the first one, and that is a low average selling price, also known as an ASP. So ASP means average selling price. Now, most people, when they start selling books on Amazon, they're going to go out to thrift stores or library sales or garage sales or sell books in their home. And really the unfortunate truth of the matter is that most books don't actually have much value. And so what that means is for the books that you are scanning and the books that you are finding, and a lot of you are probably using Scout IQ or Scally, you're scanning the back of the barcode and you're getting a little green buy button. And often a lot of the books that you'll be buying are actually just not really worth that much. And what I mean by that is, they might sell for $8, $9, $10, $11, $12, $13. And so a lot of books hang out in that range. And unfortunately, because Amazon fees, especially for books that are that cheap, are so high, it eats so much in your profit. I think a lot of people don't really understand that. So the first thing that you could try to do is to be aware of what your average selling price is. And let me show you how you can do that. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is go over to AmazonSellerCentral.com. And you come up here to the top left, and then you're going to come down to reports. You're going to click the business reports button. And then what you're going to do is over the last, however long you want, you can do this on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. I would just say year to date. Go ahead and click apply. Basically, you're going to say over the last year, how many items have you sold? And it's going to give you an average sales price. So you can see that I've sold over 3,700 books basically this year. But that comes out to average selling price of $69.88. So in the book selling world, that's actually a pretty high average selling price. But especially if you're newer to the game and you're getting a lot of your inventory from library sales, thrift stores, and just kind of, books that people have given you, the truth of the matter is that your average selling price is probably going to hang out right around like the $15 to $17 range. Might even be lower, might be a little bit higher, but that just means that all the Amazon fees are going to really eat into your profit. And we're going to look at that a little bit later. But just knowing what your average selling price, your average sales price is a really good indicator to help you figure out, okay, well, what books am I actually buying right now? And if you need to increase the ASP, might give you some ideas as to, what you need to get to be more profitable. So my solutions for dealing with this is you kind of have to search for books with a higher ASP. So a lot of times you can look for textbooks, college textbooks, high school textbooks. Often those books can hold a lot more value. Maybe finding rarer books. I also have cherry picking up here. So being a little bit more discriminatory with the books you come across. So, something that was really hard for me in the beginning of my career when I was doing some thrifting and garage selling was I would always get these books that were $2, $3 profit books, and I'd want to buy all of them because I can, spend $1 and make $2 on it. But what I realized is that it really wasn't really worth my time in the end of it all, right? That I needed to make sure that the books I was sending in had a little bit more margin, a little bit more potential that if they dropped in price that I could, still make money on them. So, not just accepting every book that you find, even if it, goes green with your triggers on Scout IQ or Scally, really just taking a look at books that potentially could sell for more money. So another thing would be to set more profitable triggers. So with Scout IQ or Scally, you can set triggers based upon sales rank and based upon potential profit. So I'm not really sure, because I haven't done that in a long time because I do all online book arbitrage, but I know that you do have some default settings for Scally, Scout IQ. So I would recommend maybe playing around with those, maybe trying to either lower the sales rank a little bit or increase the profit needed to go green, and really understanding kind of what your best triggers are going to be come to experience. It also comes through understanding a little bit more about a software called Keepa, which kind of helps you figure out, the sales rank of books and what books sell for and things like that. But the next reason that I think a lot of new sellers are not super profitable in the beginning is they don't really understand Amazon's fees. And so what I'm going to do is go over to Amazon Seller Central again. And on the homepage here, you'll see that there's a section called Total Balance. And when you click the Total Balance and you click that dollar amount there, you can actually come up here and look at the transaction view. And the transaction view is basically give you a breakdown of, what every book sold for, whatever product sold for. It's going to say, here's what the total product charges were. It's also going to tell you what the Amazon fees are. And so if you've never looked at the Amazon fees, this is the best place to see it. So for example, let's look at a book that I know a lot of people are selling. Here's a book that I sold, Dork Diaries. I sold for $8.60. I don't mean everyone sells Dork Diaries. I mean, a lot of people sell $8, $9 books. I got this book for free. And, you might have sold this for $8.60 and you go, wow, man, that's great. I sold it for $8, $9. I got to make like $4 or $5 profit on that, right? Oh, not so fast. If you look at when Amazon paid out, it was only $1.53. So, I got this for free. But imagine if you paid $1 for it, you only made 50 cents, which is really not that much money. But let's look at the fees here. So you can see I have the total product charges, $8.60. You can see that the buyer paid sales tax, 58 cents. So this was the sales proceed, $9.18. You can see that Amazon, they withheld the 58 cents for sales tax to remit to the federal government. So you don't have to, and that's amazing because you don't want to have to deal with that. Back in the old days, you actually had to collect the sales tax, and that was a pain in the butt. So I'm glad that Amazon does that for us now. But here's what you really need to know, the Amazon fees. So there's three fees that are going to apply to all your books. First one's called the FBA pick and pack fee. This is simply what it's going to cost Amazon to ship your book to the customer. Okay, and so you can see for this book, it's going to cost them $3.98. And when I say it's going to cost them, I mean it's going to cost you $3.98 for that to be shipped. There's also going to be a referral fee. And basically the referral fee is going to be 15% of the total sale. So you can see right here, the calculation is 15% of the price. 15% of $8.60 is $1.29. Okay, so 15% of the sale is going to go to Amazon in terms of fees. And then finally, you have something called a variable closing fee. And that's, to my understanding, just for the specific category. So it looks like it's for books and media, it's $1.80. And that's where you're getting charged. So basically, you have those three fees. And if you subtract those three fees from the $8.60, I was left with $1.53. So, if you're not really paying attention to the fees, then it's easy for you to not understand why you're not making any money. Because think about it, if I sold 10 books for $9, like that same book, if I sold 10 of them, I would have had $90 in sales, but I would have only netted like $9 or $10 in profit, right? So that's not that much money in terms of the actual revenue of the product. So, my solutions for not understanding Amazon fees is to look at the transaction view on Amazon Seller Central, which is just what we did, and then also to use the calculator in the Amazon Seller app on your phone to look for profit potential. Or, if you're using the triggers, you're using Scally, really take a look at what is the profit potential. If the profit potential is only $1 or a couple of dollars, then, that'd be best to pass unless it has a really good sales rank. And sales rank just is an indicator of how quickly a book is going to sell in the book category. So that's also something I recommend is kind of learning a little bit more about Keepa and learning a little bit more about sales rank. And again, if you're new to selling books at Amazon, this is probably seeming very overwhelming, but maybe watch the video a couple times. Obviously, check out other videos because, it's just a learning process like anything, right? Okay, so my third reason why I think a lot of new sellers are not profitable is that they're not necessarily understanding the triggers. So, if you're a member of Scout IQ or Scally, you have a scanning app that is going to have default triggers in it that are basically going to turn green or red, right? So if you scan a book on the actual app, it's going to say green, buy the book, or red, don't buy the book. And it's built on specific triggers. But if you don't really understand what the triggers mean, then you could sometimes buy books that you really shouldn't be buying. Sometimes you even might not buy books that you should be buying. So, there are hard triggers set on sales rank and profit potential, but, getting to know a little bit more about what sales rank means and really just experience looking at the books that you have purchased and that have sold, taking a look at, whether or not those were good buys or not good buys. So my solutions here are that you should try to change your triggers to reject higher sales rank books with lower profit potential. So what I mean by that is, I don't know exactly what the default triggers are, but let's say the default trigger is, a million rank or 1.5 million rank, and the profit threshold is $2, at least $2. Well, you might consider maybe lowering the sales rank a little bit, increasing the profit a little bit. And that's just going to let you, make sure that you're actually finding books that actually have better or higher potential to sell for some profit. And then, my other suggestion, start watching some of my Keepa videos. I've got tons of beginner Keepa videos on my YouTube channel. Specifically on my channel under playlists, I have Keepa deep dives where you can learn, about how to read Keepa charts and how to really understand what a book is worth. With Scally and Scally Q with the triggers, it's just giving you a quick decision. Is this book something that you should buy or shouldn't buy? But it doesn't really go, from that, it's kind of difficult to really understand if the book that you're looking at, if the price that Scally or Scally Q is saying you potentially could sell for, whether or not it's actually likely to happen or not. And the only way you could do that is if you're able to read a Keepa chart and master doing so. So I've got tons of videos on my channel showing you how to do that if you want to check them out. Okay, and the last reason why, I'm seeing a lot of newer Amazon FBA booksellers struggle is because of the account reserve for new sellers and not winning the buy box. So what I mean by account reserve is that often when you're a new seller and you start selling books, you'll have an account reserve, which means that even though you're selling books and Amazon should be paying you money, Amazon's deciding not to actually pay you because they're reserving it in case something on your account goes wrong that requires them to in some way have to pay for it. And so they're basically saying, hey, John, I'm not sure if you are actually a legitimate seller yet. So we're going to keep the money that you're making just to make sure that everything, is all good and well. In other words, let's say you're selling the wrong books on the wrong listings and customers are getting mad at you, or let's say you start selling counterfeit books. So let's say you just do, really not very smart things. Well, Amazon, if they got your money, at least they can pay for the damages. And, it's a way for them to basically vet you. So that's one reason is that the account reserve. And really the answer to that is it just takes time. You got to be patient. But the other thing is not winning the buy box. Okay, so the buy box on Amazon is a little box, and I'll show you right now. It's a little box here on Amazon, right here on the right. It's called the buy box. It's this little box here that has a featured offer, usually from an Amazon FBA seller, where a customer could come and just click add to cart, and then they can buy the product. And the reason why winning the buy box is really something that you should be striving for is because in anything in life, the less friction there is, the more likely that thing is to happen. So the least amount of friction someone would have to buy a book is just to click add to cart. Otherwise, they have to find this 7 used offers either here or here and look through all the other offers to figure out if they want to, buy the featured offer or they want to buy those other ones. And so this is just a lot simpler, a lot easier. It's right in people's faces. They can click add to cart. A lot of people assume that is the best price, when in fact, often it's not the best price. But it usually is a prime offer. So what that means is, because a lot of people are prime eligible customers, they might want to feature, prime offers. So the thing is, if you're a newer seller and you don't have a lot of track history of selling books, then you're not buy box eligible yet, which means you can't actually win the buy box. And if you can't win the buy box, now it just becomes more difficult for you to sell your books because people would actually have to manually on the webpage click on the other used offers, search through the other offers there and figure out, hey, they had to click the filter button, see if there's a prime option, and then decide whether or not they want to buy from you. And, one of the reasons why that also kind of is a disadvantage to you is because when they do that, it shows your feedback, it shows how many ratings you have. And so if you're new in the beginning, you don't have any feedback, you don't have any ratings. So in some ways, customers trying to take a chance on you because they're like, okay, this guy has no feedback, no rating. Do they want to take a chance? And becoming buy box eligible, they count lower reserve going away, so you actually get paid out. Really, the way that you can make sure that stuff turns around for you is you just got to be patient. You just got to give it time. You just got to keep following good practices, keep sending in books that are actually selling, and follow Amazon's guidelines and just sell more. Keep up the good work. You're doing a good job. You're sticking yourself with it. This is a long game. It's not, you're not a get rich quick scheme. It's like you're trying to build a business. It's going to take 6, 9, 12 months to get to a point where you get the groove of things, where Amazon says, you know what, we actually like you. We think that you're actually abiding by our rules. You're a legitimate seller. You're providing value to the customers on the Amazon marketplace. Make sure you're selling books that are in acceptable or better condition. Make sure you're not selling books that have bindings that are split or that have cat pee on them or that have burnt pages or water damaged pages or have mold on them, right? Make sure you're selling books that actually you would want to receive. Not only that, make sure you actively describe your books. Like, don't take a book that has water damage on 50 pages and underlining and highlighting and say it's like new, right? A customer's going to get that and not be very happy. So a lot of it's just, just general common sense. List books on the correct listing and the format type. Sometimes people might list the paperback version on the hardcover format. So make sure you're really listing the paperback on the paperback version. Make sure if you have, this book, that you're actually matching it up with the right listing. You're not selling on a different listing. So again, just very general basic stuff, but just making sure you're following Amazon's guidelines is really going to help out here. Price competitively to increase sell-through rate. So one of the factors that is going to be used to determine whether or not you get $5 eligible is if you're actually selling products, if people are deciding to buy stuff from you. So making sure that you're priced competitively, probably in the beginning when you haven't won the buy box, probably being one of the lower FBA offers, maybe even the lowest FBA offer. I think that would be a really great strategy for making sure that you get sales. One other tip for you there is just trying to find books with really, really low sales ranks, under 100,000 if possible, books that are selling all the time, because then those are going to be books that will get increase your sell-through rate. And if Amazon sees that you're having many completed listings that are actually positive and customers are happy with you and they're not complaining, then that's going to help you become buy box eligible eventually. So sending books in that are likely to sell. So, not sending in books that have 3 million, 5 million, 7 million ranks that don't have really much potential to sell for much money at all, avoiding those books. So, last thing I can say, and the biggest thing is that you have to be patient. You have to go slow to go far. You might have saw my numbers when I showed my Amazon Seller Central homepage, and you might go, wow, dude, that's crazy. But you got to realize that I didn't start, 6 months ago or a year ago. I started back in 2016 when I was in college. So that's 7 years ago. So I've learned a lot through that whole process, and it really just comes down to experience. And like I said, my model is different. I learned to increase my average selling price by doing online book arbitrage, which means using Keepa to find books that are undervalued to buy and then resell on Amazon. So, basically that's what my whole channel is about, but this is kind of more of a beginner friendly video for someone who's new to selling books on Amazon. But if you're interested in kind of what I do, Amazon online book arbitrage, that's where you buy books on Amazon and resell on Amazon, then, make sure you check out the other videos on the channel. I've got tons of free resources there for you that can help you out. But with that said, that's all I got for you guys. Hope you really enjoyed the video. And like I said, my best advice, if you're a new seller, is just keep going and just follow Amazon's guidelines, right? Make smart decisions, use general common sense, and just keep grinding. You're going to get there eventually. If you put in the hard work, I guarantee you're going to reap the rewards. But that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.